can't really predict, even depending on your background. I come from a test pilot background and, can do things in an airplane that would make a billy goat puke, but that doesn't mean that when I get up here, I'm going to be any better than a scientist who's never been in a plane. It's not a good predictor. I was lucky, and when I got up here, I didn't have congestion or upset stomach or any of those big problems that some people deal with. But everybody has to learn how to fly, and so as a test pilot, I was probably worse than most because most people find a way to, translate and fly from point to point and just be happy with it. But for me, every day I got to try something new. So I would really suck at it and run into stuff and hit myself into things. And that wasn't good. But then I'd get better. And then I'd try something more, or I'd try going faster, and it was like this cycle. So now I'm doing pretty good, but it was a long and bumpy road, and don't ask Peggy how many things I knocked off the wall.
We talked a little bit earlier. So you got Peggy Whitson up there, the space ninja, as you like to call her. Crazy moves that you've broken out that she's looked at you and said, "Jack, no, stop. Don't do that again."
Oh my gosh, so many times. She has a patented look. It's the two fish, you are crazy look, and I pretty much got that down. When I get the Peggy Whitson two fish are crazy look, then I know, okay, that one I got to stop.
So, what have you learned? Now you've been in space with Peggy Whitson for this long. What have you learned from her that you sort of take with you? And then, I guess kind of off of that, what have you learned that really sort of annoys her that you really like to do?
Well, we're like two peas in a pod. We awesome. Give each other a hard time all the time, so we tease each other a bunch. We have a good time. But I just can't even say how lucky I am to have been on orbit with not only Peggy but also Fyodor Yurchikhin, my commander and friend in the Soyuz and the commander of the station now. Those two have so much experience that I learn everything from them. They, not just the big stuff of how to organize your day and how to be efficient and those type of things, but even the little stuff. And I every time they're around, my eyes are wide open. How is Peggy cutting her food packet? Because it's probably the best way, because she's done it quite a few times. So, how is Fyodor holding his camera? What settings is he using for this task? It's to just watch them and just soak that in. Gosh, I am so lucky to have been up here with these two and just soak in all their goodness and knowledge.
And you've been working side by side with them for the last couple of months. Just walk us through real quick. What's just, some of the stuff you're doing up there? Because it's a lot more than just flying and stuff like that. You're doing, serious experiment work up there.
Oh, absolutely. The space station is just the most amazing world-class laboratory, floating around doing science all day, every day. We're doing science inside. We're doing science outside. Let me turn this off real quick. We're getting an echo, so I don't want you to hear me twice. That's way too much. So the space station, for example, when SpaceX 11 came up, it had 6 tons of science, mostly science on board, that then we had to bring on board, knock out that science, get it back on the space and back to Earth. That's the job of this place, is just rocking the science. We're doing not only stuff for human health and those type of sciences. There was a great experiment that Peggy was working on the other day with a new drug that actually targets cancer cells. We're growing lung cancer tissue, and it was doing some great work against the cancer. How cool would that be if we could crack the code of that horrible disease that even my daughter fell prey to? So not just those, we're looking just 10 feet from me is a machine called the ELF that's looking at new ways to create alloys that are lighter, that are stronger. This